and welcome to Spotlight with me, Matt Perkins, from the Salvation Army's Youth and Children's Ministry Unit. In each episode, we get to know a local youth leader and find out something about their ministry with young people. Today's guest is Ian Hammond, Corps Officer Ian Hammond from Ivybridge, and we welcome him now. Hi, Ian, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, nice to be with you.
Thank you. So Ivybridge, idyllic town in Devon.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about Ivybridge and your ministry there.
It's a small semi-rural town, about 14,000 people, just outside Plymouth, so in beautiful South Devon. But it's got one of the largest high schools, secondary schools in the country. So wow. 2,500 kids in one school. Yeah, busy place from that point of view. And yeah, we love the ministry here, community-facing church, in working with people in our community in lots of different levels.
Brilliant. So we welcome you on Spotlight today because we want to hear more about that ministry with the people of Ivybridge, but particularly the young people, where, as you say, so many of the population there are young people themselves. But before we get on to that, let's talk a bit about you and who you are and get to know you, Ian. So we're going to do that through My Life in Pictures. So the first picture is you and your family. Three of you have got helmets on. Explain what's going on then and introduce us.
Yeah, so my wife Ruth, who also is a minister here with me, and two children, Mia and Blake, and we're actually at Eden, the Eden project, just across the border in Cornwall, and we're going to do a zip wire.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Yeah. How did that go down? Did everyone enjoy that?
It was great. Yeah, really good. Loved it.
Love it. So Ian, the second photo we can see is going to describe your ministry or what you do for a living. We know you're a Corps leader, but just tell us about this photo in particular.
We're a very community-facing church, want to be in community, supporting community. So we run a community cafe and a safe space for people to come into. So our tagline is a safe space for all, and that's just being in there, being with people.
I love that. And is the coffee good?
Excellent. Yeah, really good. Local stuff. It travels less than a mile from where it's roasted to us.
That's great. More and more, I'm thinking we need to get off Zoom and meet people and interview them in person. So next time, Ian, I'll hope to be having a coffee with you. And the third photo we can see is going to describe what you like doing in your spare time.
So that third photo, we're on segways in a woods just a few miles from here, just enjoying getting out, relaxing, and a bit of adrenaline, but in nature.
It's fantastic. So already you've mentioned zip wires and now segways, Ian. Are you quite an adventurous person?
I like a bit of adrenaline, yeah, and the whole family is a bit like that, and the kids are like that. So yeah, we enjoy it, and it's something we can do together.
So Ian, tell us a bit more about Ivybridge, the area, the people you serve, and the Corps in that setting.
So it's a small town in South Devon. We meet with all sorts of ages and young people. The building we're in was built as a youth centre. And so we work in partnership with Youth for Christ. And a big part of the focus of what goes on here is young people, as well as the whole of the spread of the community.
That's great. And one of the big reasons we're talking to you today, Ian, is because of your heart for young people and how you serve young people in that area. Ian, I'm interested because you are in what was built to be a youth centre. You've now taken that building over, but you're still in partnership with Youth for Christ. And was there another organisation?
There's a local youth charity which actually own the lease on the building, and we manage it for them. And then we work with a number of other local charities, all doing different things, and we kind of make it work so that this is a hub that people can come into no matter who's running what's going on.
Okay, so there's very much a collaboration of the Salvation Army with these other charities and youth organisations. How does that work in practice? How is that building used through the week?
As I say, open as a community cafe, so it's always a safe space to come into. We run specific events for certain groups of people, so older people, young people, toddlers. From our point of view, we run two youth things on a Thursday evening. One is more for people that are linked with us as a church, and then the other one is specifically for LGBTQ plus young people.
Now, I'm really interested to talk to you today about the group that you've started for the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
Specifically because I think the church hasn't always been seen in the best light when it comes to LGBTQ plus and the inclusion of that community.
Yeah.
But here is the Salvation Army building in the middle of a town who's affirming, welcoming, loving, and putting something on specifically for them, which is it's massive in terms of the way people view the church and view the Salvation Army. Tell us about how that group came about and how it does serve them.
Yeah, it started kind of through our children and kind of knowing some young people. And I happened to be working on a Friday evening, which is a Youth for Christ evening. And a group of young people from that community was sitting in a playground that's right opposite our building. And there was a guy out there that had had a little bit too much to drink and given them a load of hassle. I just said to them, "Are you okay?" And we just got talking to them. And I think that highlighted to us the need that they need a safe space to be where they can be them without the fear of that kind of harassment, trouble that unfortunately they seem to get a lot.
Wow. So you've seen the needs, you've seen that these young people have been discriminated against for who they are.
Yeah.
And you've created a safe space. Tell us more about how that works in practice, how young people know about it, how they're invited into it, and what happens in that group.
So the main route of being invited in is through the group itself. They know who is in that community around them. They do the inviting, and that protects. What we don't want is anybody being outed by kind of being part of that group. So we don't want somebody not right being there. So they control all of that. When they come in, we're there. We have games. We have a couple of things on the TV, Xbox or the Wii. They do that. We play board games, and we just sit and talk with them and spend time with them and build relationships with them. And they can be who they are in a safe space.
The statistics are out there in terms of, you know, what young people go through when they're really struggling to know who they are, their identity, particularly for those who are going through finding out, you know, they might be gay or they might be transitioning. How does it feel for a young person, do you think, to then suddenly have a group that you've put on to be there in support of them?
I think we just see them being able to be themselves. So, you know, choice of name, choice of pronouns, and just relaxing and being young people, because they suffer more from depression, they suffer more from anxiety, they're more likely to attempt and complete suicide, especially in the trans non-binary area. I think, you know, they reckon that 1 in 2 people who are trans non-binary will have attempted suicide by the age of 24.
Gosh.
And that's scary.
Yeah. And the statistics we can't ignore.
Yeah.
And these statistics represent real life young people who might already be in our youth groups.
Yeah.
But certainly in wider community.
Yeah.
And so you putting on this group is quite life-changing for a lot of those young people.
Yeah.
How has the wider Corps supported what you are offering for that community? Because as we all know, particularly theologically, there can be real debate between us as Christians.
Our church is really supportive. We come from the point of view that we don't have to agree on the theology of that particular issue. There's a bigger theology of love, and we need to love people. And this community are some of those people Jesus would be with, because they're the marginalized, they're the outcast, they're the people we've been told to be with. So that's what we're doing.
What that says to wider community about who God is, what church is, ripples through a community, doesn't it? Because people viewing and looking in see the Salvation Army in Ivybridge as an affirming, inclusive church.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you've got the flag on your collar there. Why do you wear that?
I wear that to show that I'm an ally, that I'm not going to give them hassle. And a simple pride type badge that rainbow colors says that. Trying to smile and just say, you're not going to get any hassle from me. I'm an ally. I'm on your side. So I always wear it. And most of the people here in the church that are working within the community cafe wear it. And the building, we've got blinds around the building, which we deliberately chose in rainbow colors. So if you walk in, there they are.
Brilliant.
So that they know they're not going to get what they will get, unfortunately, from a lot of society, which is hassle, discrimination, and judgment.
Could you tell us the impact maybe on an individual that the group has had?
There's a couple of young people in that group that aren't out at home.
Wow.
But they're out amongst their friends, and we give them a safe place where they can be who they are and kind of learn who they are and experience what it's like to live as who they are, rather than the face or the facade that they put up, and see them growing that and just, relax in it. Being able to support them with some of the anxiety and stresses of school and what it's like living in a school environment that does have homophobia and transphobia in it, and just giving them that practical support and just being them. And you can see them smiling, laughing, letting go of some of that anxiety.
It's amazing. There'll be people viewing in who are loving, affirming, inclusive. But sometimes when it does come to interacting with young people from the LGBTQ plus community, there can almost be a fear that we don't want to offend, a fear of not really knowing what to say, what pronouns, terminology, acronyms. It can feel a bit like a minefield. Now, how would you advise people get past that possible hurdle? And how have you been able to just bring other volunteers on the journey around that?
So I think the first thing is showing these things that you're an ally, wearing something that says that. Then just be natural with people. One of the safe places to talk is about pronouns. So don't be afraid to ask somebody their pronouns. What you don't then want to do is do too much digging beyond that about what that means. Get to know them, talk to them, listen. You will actually learn what that means when they feel safe with you and you develop a relationship. There's then stuff you can do outside of that. There's plenty of stuff on social media, on the internet. There's plenty of organizations out there that do lots of myth busting, decoding everything. Do some reading, do some looking, look at stuff like this put out by lots of organizations, listen to people's stories. As you build the trust, they will tell you their story, but don't ask too soon. Sure. Let them tell you as they feel comfortable with you, and they will. They will. I think one of the other things that you can do if you want to show that you're an ally, really simple, on your social media, put your pronouns. Even if it's he, him. That's where you are, because by putting it, you show it's important, that you understand it's important for other people. So just put it on all your social media.
That's great advice, Ian. What can we learn from the group you've put together for young people who identify as LGBTQ+?
I think just living out that love of Jesus, and let's not worry about the theology of that group. Let's do the love and let's be allies. Let's be with them. Let's create those safe spaces for them. That's what we need to do.
Let's be church for those young people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Ian. Ian, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I think you will have challenged a lot of people. I think you will have encouraged and inspired a lot of people with what you've had to say today. Ian, I think what you're doing is very unique. And if it's okay with you, we might share how people can get in touch with you to talk more about how they might create a safe space for young people in the LGBTQ plus community. But thank you for the message. Be an ally and love people.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Ian.
No problems. Thanks very much.
Please join us next time where we'll be shining a light on another local youth leader and their ministry with young people. Please have a look at the comments bar below where we've put some helpful links to podcasts and resources on the topic of LGBTQ+. Please remember that the Salvation Army's Youth and Children's Ministry Unit have a resource training out there led by your divisional youth specialist named An Introduction to Pastorally Supporting LGBTQ+ Young People. Get in touch with your DY to find out when the next date of that training is. But for now, see you next time.